My mom banned me from my sister's wedding because I'd ruined the photos, so I took back the honeymoon fund and let them brag about a venue I secretly own. Hey everyone. Before we kick off today's video, I've got a favor to ask. We've noticed our channel isn't getting as much love lately, and subscribing is one of the easiest ways you can help us out. It's quick, free, and it means we can keep bringing you awesome content. Your support really means a lot, so let's work together to keep this channel growing. Thanks a bunch. Now, let's dive into the video. Hey there, I'm Kevin, 27, and for the longest time, I was holding out hope that my family would see me as more than just their go-to scapegoat. But here's the thing, people don't change just because you want them to. Sometimes, they dig in their heels even more. So at some point, you have to stop wishing and start remembering who you really are. I grew up as the big brother to Rachel, the golden child, and Eric, the little surprise who was too young to get dragged into family drama. On the surface, we probably seemed like a tight-knit family, nice holiday pics, friendly Facebook comments, the whole digital charade. But the reality was that I was the one always cleaning up everyone's mess. Like when Rachel totaled her car in college, I drained my savings to help keep it under wraps so she wouldn't lose her internship. Or when mom forgot to pay the electric bill for 3 months straight and tried to blame it on Eric playing video games, I quietly took care of it. No, thanks, of course, just a nod and a vague, that's what family does, right? For years, I kept doing this, every favor, every dollar, every bit of emotional support, hoping one day they'd finally be proud of me. But that illusion shattered last November. Rachel got engaged to her boyfriend Brandon. We weren't close, but he seemed like a decent guy, rocking boat shoes at Thanksgiving and saying stuff like killer spread, Mrs. C. Still, I was genuinely happy for her. I even offered to cover their honeymoon as a wedding gift. She just replied with a lukewarm THX, but I didn't think much of it. Then, 2 weeks ago, mom called me while I was finishing up work. Her voice was dripping with bitterness, whether she meant it that way or not. Before I could even say hi, she blurted out, "Don't even think about showing up to the wedding." She said Rachel deserved the perfect day and that I wouldn't be ruining it. I was baffled. I wasn't planning on stealing the spotlight, just showing up, clapping, and maybe hugging a few people. Ruin it how? I asked. Her tone turned sugary sweet, the kind she used to hide something nasty. "Kevin, you don't exactly fit in, you know? You always dress like you're heading to a mediocre job interview, and the way you hover around is unsettling. Rachel doesn't want you in the photos, and frankly, I agree." My ears started ringing. After all the years of bending over backward for them, I was being told I didn't even deserve to be at the wedding. Just my presence was somehow a stain on their perfect family image. I could hear Rachel in the background too, laughing it off as a joke. "Tell him he can still send a gift though," she called. I didn't raise my voice or argue. I just smiled, a smile that said, "You have no idea what's coming." I kept my tone light and said, "Sure, I get it." She hung up, and I quickly logged into the joint account I'd set up for their honeymoon gift. 5 seconds later, $4,200 was back in my pocket. I took a screenshot of the reversal and sent it to mom with a simple line, "I wouldn't want to ruin anything." No reply, but I know she saw it. She always obsessively reads messages. Now, here's the twist they don't know. Last year, I quietly invested in a chain of mid-tier venues struggling post-pandemic. One of them happens to be, drumroll, please, Lakeview Ridge, the exact spot Rachel bragged about booking on Instagram. The one with the big white gazebo and overpriced brunch menu. I double-checked my emails and yep, it was in our portfolio. Not only do I partly own it, but I also have the final say on big events there, like say, weddings. I thought about canceling it right off the bat, just to watch them scramble. But that seemed too easy, too fast. They wouldn't truly feel the impact. I kind of wanted them to soak in their own smugness for a bit longer, you know? I wanted them to keep posting those countdown stories, fuss over dress fittings, and argue about the seating chart. I hoped they'd keep laughing behind my back just a few more times. So, I just watched and waited, not doing much except making a couple of quiet calls to Lakeview Ridge's event coordinator, just to keep an ear out for any issues with the Carson wedding booking. I checked out the contract too, and it was solid, except for this one tiny detail hidden in the fine print. It said the full payment had to be done 10 days before the event, or the booking would go up in smoke, not postponed, gone. The wedding is in 12 days, and as of this morning, no final payment has been made. I didn't need to do anything except wait. Let them keep acting like I don't exist, like I'm just background noise they'd rather edit out of the pictures. It's funny how people forget where the money comes from once it's not being handed to them quietly anymore. I haven't heard a peep from Rachel or mom since that phone call, no invitation to the rehearsal dinner, nothing. Just silence and smugness. But the thing about silence is, it lets you hear all the things they aren't saying. I spent the next few days rediscovering life without them. I hit the gym, tidied up my place, and treated myself to a nice dinner out. For once, my phone wasn't blowing up with emergency requests for cash or favors. It was quiet, peaceful, like the calm before a storm that you know you have control over. Then, 5 days before the wedding, I got a notification from Amy, the venue coordinator. She's been at Lakeview Ridge forever, seen more family meltdowns than you can shake a stick at. Her message was polite but clear. "Hey Kevin, the Carson party hasn't paid the final bill. I've sent 2 reminders, no response. How do you want to handle it since we're close to the deadline?" I called her that afternoon, keeping it casual. "If it's not paid by the deadline, we follow the contract and void the booking," I said. Amy hesitated. "Are you sure? They're really counting on this. They've got like 15 vendors lined up, a live string quartet, even doves for the vows." I chuckled. "Doves? That's fancy." She laughed too. "Okay, I'll follow through. Deadline's in 2 days." I could have warned them, sent Rachel a simple text saying, "Hey, your payment's late." But I didn't because they made it clear I wasn't part of them, not important enough for a photo, let alone a seat. Just a walking ATM. So, I decided to let them learn from their own negligence. On the morning of the deadline, I took the day off and treated myself to a good breakfast, eggs, coffee, extra crispy bacon. I checked my email around noon. Still nothing. No payment, no message, no last-minute oops, we forgot, just silence. That evening, Amy marked the booking as cancelled at 7:18 p.m. I got a call from a number I didn't know and let it go to voicemail. 30 seconds later, the same number called again, so I picked up. "Hi, is this Kevin? This is Teresa, Rachel's wedding planner." I almost laughed. "Yes," I said, keeping it composed. "We're just sorting out a minor issue with the venue," she said. "There seems to have been a system error, and the final payment didn't go through, maybe a glitch with our account. But we're hoping everything's still good for Saturday." I leaned back. No system error. The payment deadline passed last night. The booking was released. Silence, then her voice, thin and nervous, "But surely you can make an exception, right? This is a once-in-a-lifetime event." I interrupted softly, "Teresa, I get it. But the contract is the contract. If they wanted it set in stone, they should have paid on time. We've been more than generous with reminders." She stuttered a bit and said she'd talk to Rachel. Less than an hour later, my phone rang again, and this time it was, "Mom? Kevin?" "No hello, just demands, what's going on with the venue?" So, get this, she was crying because they said the booking was cancelled, and apparently it was my fault. I was confused, like, I didn't cancel anything. The deadline just passed, and I just happened to know the coordinator. She got all mad, asking why I didn't say anything, why I let it happen. I was like, what was I supposed to do? Cover for you again? Silence. Then she gets cold and asks if I really hate my sister that much. "No," I said, "but I'm tired of being treated like I'm disposable. You said I'd ruin your photos, so I just stayed out of the picture." She snapped back, saying I always make it about me. I pointed out it became about me when she decided I didn't deserve a seat at the wedding, her choice. She hung up. That night, I get this text from Rachel, no greeting, no emoji, just accusing me of not warning them. Then, "Wow, you're a bitter little man." I didn't bother replying. They didn't realize the whole venue deal was more tangled than they thought. Next day, my phone is blowing up with texts and missed calls. Guilt trips, insults, classic stuff. Sipping my coffee, I just scrolled through it all. They didn't know the half of it. See, Rachel and Brandon treated this wedding like some royal affair, fancy engagement photos, custom website, and all. They hyped the venue like it was the heart of their dream. I secretly got them a great deal on it without needing fanfare. But now, with only 4 days left, they're scrambling, clueless about how they'd get another venue and redo everything. Then, there's Brandon calling, trying to clear the air. I let him fumble through his words before dropping the bomb. "Did you know I was covering your honeymoon?" Dead silence on his end. I told him Rachel didn't want me there, so I wouldn't be rescuing their wedding. His silent realization was almost funny. And when he tried to say he wasn't taking sides, I just told him I didn't care anymore. A few hours later, I got an email from Amy with an update, and it just felt like a new chapter in this wild ride. So, here's the scoop. Rachel called the venue, totally in tears, saying she didn't see the cancellation coming. She was all like, This is so unfair and totally unethical, and demanded to chat with the owner directly. Amy asked if I wanted to personally respond, but I told her to hold off. Instead, I did something a bit sneakier. I logged into the venue's website and added a note on the homepage. Lakeview Ridge is excited to host a private corporate event on April 27th. No weddings will be happening that day. Yep, that was her wedding day. I didn't mention any names, didn't need to. Anyone trying to find a last-minute venue would see it, and other venues would just assume we were fully booked. I quietly shut down any backup plan they might have had. Later, I got a message from my Aunt Claire. "Hey sweetie, can we talk? Rachel's a wreck, and your mom is really upset." I stared at it for a bit before replying. She said I'd ruin her photos, and I took that seriously. She just left me on read. The next morning, their group chat exploded. My cousin sent me screenshots. My mom was fuming, blaming everyone, Amy, me, maybe even Mercury in retrograde. She ranted about how family doesn't treat each other like this and how she went all out to include me. Rachel chimed in with her own jab, saying, "He's been jealous since high school. I knew he'd make it about him." That jealous comment felt like a slap. Jealous of what, exactly? Her spotlight? The fake compliments and betrayals? Meanwhile, I built my own life quietly, without asking for applause. And now, apparently, I was bitter for not letting them walk all over me again. So, I made a decision. I forwarded everything to Amy and told her, "You can respond now and tell them the owner reviewed it and denied the rebooking. It's policy." Then I made another call. My friend Carter runs a fancy catering company downtown and owed me a favor. I asked him for a little something for Saturday. Nothing big, just a small corporate lunch for 10 people. He laughed. "You want me to book the place out on their wedding day?" "Not just book it," I said, "I want photos, Instagram, the works. Make it look like the event of the year." He paused for a second and said, "Damn, Kevin, you're really doing this." I grinned. They wanted me to stay away from the wedding, so I wouldn't show up, but that didn't mean I wouldn't make a statement. Saturday came, and the weather was perfect, exactly what brides dream of. I got up early just to enjoy the moment. Took a long shower, made some really good coffee, and even ironed my shirt, just for kicks. I sat by the window with my phone, watching the chaos unfold. The first post was from Rachel's college roommate, a confused selfie in her car, saying, "Is the venue closed? Just got here and no one's answering the gate. Please tell me I'm not the only one who didn't get a cancellation notice." I sipped my coffee and hit refresh. More posts followed, bridesmaids with full makeup standing outside the locked gate, groomsmen in tuxedos pacing around, and a flower girl asleep in the backseat of a car. They hadn't told anyone the wedding was off. I guess Rachel or my mom thought everything would magically work out. They were so sure someone, like me, would bail them out last minute. Then the post that cracked me up appeared. Lakeview Ridge hosting a beautiful lakeside luncheon for a special team today. #private event, #book it out, #corporate luxury. The tables looked stunning, with crystal glasses and waiters in black vests. Rachel's floral arch was now a backdrop for the dessert bar, with a sign saying, "Success starts here," instead of "Forever starts here." I would have loved to see her face. Around noon, Amy called me, barely holding back her laughter. "Kevin, we've got guests trying to climb the side gate." I chuckled. "Please tell me you're joking." She wasn't. So, one of the groomsmen was all like, "Dude, I swear I know someone who can get us in." I had to break it to them that the place was privately booked and security already knew. Meanwhile, these two handlers showed up with doves in a crate, just chilling on the curb looking totally lost. I couldn't help but chuckle, more slowly this time. I told Amy, "You've been a lifesaver, seriously. I owe you big time for this." She just shrugged it off, saying, "Nah, you don't owe me anything. This has actually been the best Saturday shift I've had in forever." Then, at 2:41 p.m., my mom called. I just let it ring. Then Rachel tried, then Brandon, and even my aunt. I ignored them all. Instead, I opened this group text that I hadn't left yet, even though they'd stopped tagging me ages ago. I typed just 2 words, "You're welcome." And then I left the chat. That night, my younger brother Eric, the only one in the family who ever treated me like a real person, called me. He missed the wedding, but he called the day after I snatched the honeymoon fund. He said, "If they're acting like you don't exist, I'm not gonna pretend they're flawless." He was calm, but I could tell he'd had it too. His message was brief. "I saw the posts, man. I don't even know what to say, but I'm proud of you. They needed a wake-up call. I'll call you tomorrow." And for once, I felt it. Not just pride or relief, but real closure. People like Rachel and my mom, they build their whole lives around how things look, the seating charts, the fancy dress fittings, the stories they'll share over drinks in a few years. What I did was give them more than just a wrecked wedding. I shattered their whole illusion. No one would remember how stunning the dress was, they'd remember standing outside a locked venue in heels for hours, the doves that never flew, the brunch that went to a company meeting while the wedding guests hung out in the parking lot. There'd be whispers of, why didn't they pay? Didn't they have help? Eventually, someone would point out that maybe, just maybe, Rachel wasn't the victim. Maybe the brother she tried to forget just decided he'd had enough. 2 days later, my mom showed up at my door, not knocking but pounding. I let her stew for a minute before opening the door slowly. She looked worn out, mascara crusted under her eyes, her blazer wrinkled, her stance all hunched but her voice still sharp. You think you proved something? She snapped. No, I said, calm as ever. I know I did. You humiliated your sister. She tried to guilt trip me for a long moment. She humiliated me, and you did too, for years. You thought I'd just keep taking it, show up, clean up, and stay silent. Not anymore. She looked like she wanted to argue, like she had a whole speech lined up. But I didn't give her the chance. I paid for the venue, the honeymoon, supported the family you tried to erase me from for appearances. This time, you got erased. She stood there, shaking but silent. I added, you can tell Rachel I'm not mad. I'm free. That's a better gift than anything on her registry. Then I shut the door. A month went by, then another, and I heard nothing from them. Eric and I started grabbing dinner twice a week, talking about work, life, and sometimes, laughing about the so-called wedding disaster of the year. I even got a few cheeky messages from people who were at the event, kinda congratulating me without really saying it. And you know what? That was enough. I didn't need a grand gesture or public acknowledgement. I found peace, I found power, and for the first time, a family I chose, not one that tried to crop me out of their perfect picture. So, I took that picture frame and tossed it.